scary, doesn't it? Alright, so today we got a little bit more of a fun video. Got a bunch of boxes everywhere. Let's get to the garage and I'll show you what's inside. Okay, so we are doing something fun with the SVO today. So today we got a box from LMR, and inside, don't mind the wires, also ordered some wires because we ran out in the garage. But inside we have a Camber caster kit and 4 adjustable strain shocks. So we're going to be ditching the KYBs that we currently have in here. I only threw them in there because the rear ones, I got those for free. And the front ones, they're very sketchy, but I bought them for a really cheap price. So we're going to finally tidy up the suspension, minus the sway bar, because I still need to weld in a part of my frame. But yeah, so that's the goal for today, suspension-wise. So the next box, we have a cheap Walmart head unit, as well as some speakers that I use in my Accord, and some speakers that I picked up from Facebook Marketplace as well. So they're 5x7s. They should fit perfectly into the rear of the SVO. And the plan is to do absolutely brand new from scratch wiring, meaning the interior is gonna have to fully come apart. But before we get to that, let's jack the car up and work on the suspension. Also, if you're gonna have a bunch of stuff open, you should probably disconnect your battery. Last time I made the mistake of completely draining the battery and then I had to get a new one. So, don't do what I do. It's a fucking 13... Who comes up with a 13 mil fucking... I think we'll start on the more fun side. The front. Also a little bit more complicated, only just because of the caster camber plates, which are recommended that you run with the stranges. So, you're gonna have to take this nut off, undo our sketchy contraption of washers over here, because these are meant for earlier model Mustangs, so they're the thicker spindle KYBs, and SVOs obviously came with a thinner spindle. So, let's get to it. First, caliper, then we can pull these nuts off, and finally we can get to the top bolts. So, let's get to that. If you haven't done this in a while, you should probably re-grease these. I greased mine freshly last time I was over here, so these are fine. Put them in a place where they're not going to pick up a bunch of dirt. There we go. Oh my god. No way. It happened. Alright, so maybe you should use impact rated sockets. Anyways. Managed to get the nut off. Have to grab a different impact rated bit for short impact. So now that that is done, we can start undoing the top mount. Just gotta secure this caliper in here, which does not want to happen currently. There we go, that should be good enough for now. Anyways, let's continue. That's all. Let me compress it maybe. There we go. So the KYB is out. Now we can start looking at the top of this, and we have to remove this mushroom or onion head, whatever you want to call it. This one is SVO specific. Other Fox buddies will have a different looking one. So let's get this guy off, and then we'll do the same thing to the other side before installing both camber caster plates. Of course it's not going to come right out. That would be too easy. Of course it'd be too easy. It's an SVO. I got to drill out this rivet right here. So let me do that real quick. All right, and these are out. So if anybody wants to buy some very mint SVO parts, let me know. Let's do the other side now. All right, so now that both of the shocks are out, we're gonna clean out these surfaces and start installing our SVE camber caster plates. And for reference, just for a stock alignment, I can use this to match up to, as you can see, that was that hole. So they'll have to be around here, which if we can look from the bottom, is that is centered, beautiful. That is all the way to the right. So actually that's exactly how we're gonna have to install them, all the way to the right. All right, so we'll do that. So here's the SVE kit. So we're gonna take our spherical bearing right here, and I already have my Allen keys or Allen screws threaded just a tiny bit. Right here we have the bottom mount part, and now we're just going to need our strut, which we have right here. Now, Strange on the spec sheet, as you can see, recommends 4 or 5 clicks for street. So that's exactly what I'm going to adjust this strut to right now. So we're going to turn it all the way back, and I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, and now we can start adding our spacers as well as the spherical insert, which I have a stack right here. I'm gonna go with a small spacer and the medium spacer for now. Of course this doesn't fit. I love when this happens. I don't know why this is the way it is. There we go. And now we can throw on this guy. So here's a spherical bearing insert, and now we can start installing it into the car. Okay, so now I'm just gonna fish this guy through like this. Throw the provided spacers on. Almost dropped that, beautiful. And finally, throw this beauty on there. Really have to wrestle with this nest of wires that we have going on. There we go. Now we just need to grab the zinc washers, which are right here. And the nylon nuts. Nice that they have nylon nuts. And we just thread these on. Alright, she should not go anywhere now. Very good. Okay. Now we're just going to use a 19 mil to snug these guys up. The more important part is that the bottom plate is pulled as far towards the fender as you can get it. So as I'm holding it from the bottom, I'm just going to tighten this guy down. And we'll reposition everything once we have the strut installed. But we're just going to want to center everything because I'm not getting alignment for this car yet, at least not until I have pulled the engine, welded a new part of the frame, and reinstalled the sway bar, so there's no point. Plus I'm bailing this thing now. The tires that are on here are probably 7 or 8 years old, so I really couldn't care about tire degradation. So yeah, so for now we'll be fine. We'll just have to adjust this in a little bit. Now let me do the other side off camera and we'll get back to when we're installing the struts. Never mind, don't do what I just did. I installed it backwards, so now I'm just, I flipped the spherical bearing over. And now I'm just going to reinstall it real quick. So now that that's ready and we have these installed on the strut, we can actually pull the strut down and install the top of it. Now, hopefully I have nuts for this. This is probably not going to work, is it? It obviously does not. Good thing I saved the nuts from the original SVO conies. So now we have nuts, finally. Now we're just going to insert this, and we're not going to do a dust boot. Because I don't think I could take it off of that SVO onion thing. Alright, we are extremely far off, so we keep going. Come on, really gotta wrestle you. Okay, that's one. There we go. That is installed, so now we just need to tighten these down. I'm gonna have to tighten this guy down, and then center this in the middle to get it as close to a zeroed out alignment as possible, as well as, you know, the caster. And the front will be done, and then we can move on to the rear. Okay, so the front is all done. I have everything centered. As you can see, this is pushed back towards the car as much as possible. That's gonna give us zero caster. It should be zero, we never know. And so is this. This is centered, so now we can get around to the back, which is gonna be a tad bit sketchy, because what I didn't mention earlier is that I need to get rid of these springs. And to get rid of these springs, I'm most likely gonna have to... I don't even know, actually. Probably just get rid of the shock and then lower the diff. So I'll try doing that. Hopefully that goes well. Okay, well, as you see, I grabbed some spring compressors, and I'm just gonna be wrenching for a while. So let's see if I can get the spring out. Hopefully it's enough on the 3 coils. If not, I'm just gonna have to drop it down one more and do it that way. But I think it should be enough to compress it, because I mean, this thing is pretty loose in there now. So, because I can move it around. It's not that compressed. So we'll try, and I'll give you a little update. Okay, well, that was a success. So now we have a ticking time bomb sitting on the floor. That is removed. This is sitting nice. This came out. So, yeah, I do have lowering springs to match the front, because when we ended up cutting the springs up front, it sits lower now. I don't think I mentioned that we cut the springs up front. After we did the lower control arms, the front was sitting way too high. It was Cali leaning, and we cut one coil off the springs with a fiberglass blade, so it didn't overheat it. It's not going to be squishy springs. They're not. They're fine. So now we just have to match the rear. And the story behind the springs is they're the same brand as my isolators. I forget what brand they are. EKS, I think, or something like that. But we went to a Facebook Marketplace find. Guy was porting out a Fox body. He bought it as a project car, found out that it was crashed and the frame was bent. So me and Alex went to buy a bunch of stuff. He grabbed a bunch of real goodies for his GT350. I think I only snagged the lowering springs, but finally they're going to be put to use. So yeah, I'm going to remove the other spring, and then we'll toss in those springs, and then we can just install the shocks. These are going to be easy. We don't have to worry about camber caster plates or anything like that. So these are literally just going to be drop in. And all right, so here they are. Hopefully these are going to be a lot easier to put in. I mean, comparing them, I think that's about as much as I had to compress. Probably a little bit more. But if anything, I can compress them. I know it works now, so I'll just be able to do that if just in case. But let me throw these springs in, and then we can throw the shocks in. All right, I got both springs installed in the correct orientation. The pigtail at the bottom is supposed to be facing the diff, and it is. That's very good. Now we can actually unbox the final piece of the puzzle, just right here, and throw these guys in. Okay, so I have the dust boot installed. The way you install this dust boot is you literally just slide it on like a slide hammer, and it clicks with these clips right here. And then we have the bottom bushing on here as well. So we're just gonna throw this guy in here, wherever that hole is. There it is. And catch our bottom bolt. Now we can go from up top and thread this guy on. It's very off-centered. It's okay. Oh, and that's gone forever. And now finally, we can't do this part yet because whole thing needs to go up. Whole diff. So let's install the other side before we do that, and then we'll just jack the whole diff up. So the strain shocks are installed in the rear. We got the lowering springs in. We got the front also all finished up. Nice, no dust boot because, well, it goes on these guys and I'd have to cut the hose clamp. I'm not doing all that. So now we put the wheels back on and see how she sits on the ground before we get around to the speakers, obviously. All right, and this thing looks slammed. Let's see. Can't fit a fist. Beautiful. Can I fit a fist here though? No, it's literally hitting on the same spot on the knuckle. I think she's pretty level now. Now she needs some spacers up front. But goddamn, does it look good now. Let's take another look at it. Yeah, that's so much better. Now let's check exhaust clearance, which, well, just need to go sideways over speed bumps. I'll be fine. It was worse before, so I can segue into what we've been up to with this car, and we haven't been recording because there's been regular maintenance. We took a little drive to South Jersey in this car to pick up a hood for Alex's GT350 because this is the only one of our cars that will fit a Fox body hood. You know, you fold the seats down and it fits in there perfectly. So we went to buy a hood, and on the way back, the throwout bearing started making a lot of noise. At that point, I didn't know it was a throwout bearing. The car just started making a lot of noise, so I didn't drive it for a while. After some consideration, I thought about it for a bit, and I was like, well, the only thing that could be making that noise when, you know, I press the clutch in and it starts squeaking and rattling is the throwout bearing. So like, all right, let's pull the transmission. Pull the transmission. Throwout bearing was shot. I think I threw it away. It was laying on the floor like a few days ago in the corner of the garage, but the thing was absolutely shot. And I mean, while we had the transmission out, we replaced the clutch, we replaced the flywheel, and one of the big oil leaks that we had in our car was the oil pan was not bolted down at all in the rear. So they were, all the bolts were literally finger loose. So we tightened those up. That oil leak is gone. The turbo, there's a line on the back of the turbo. You can't see it from here that well, but the gasket was leaking. So we replaced that gasket. No more leak over there either. So now the only leak we have in this car has to do something with the power steering system, which I honestly don't care. I don't even care about power steering. I'll take no power steering. It's fine. So yeah, that's what this car's been up to. I also went and redid a little bit of wiring over here. I just rewrapped an electrical tape. I hate the look of pool noodles because all this was blue pool noodles just like that. So I did a bit of rewiring over here, rerouting some wires. And yeah, I mean, that's all that's been done to this car in between the last video and now. And now we got lowering springs installed as well as stranges all around. So yeah, I cannot wait to finish up the speakers so I can go and take this thing for a test drive and see how she feels. So now let's get to the dreaded part and start disassembling the interior. I don't think too much of the interior will have to be disassembled. Honestly, we just need to remove the quarter panel pieces, which will probably require us to remove the rear seats. So yeah, I mean, most of the interior is coming out. Yeah, we're going to run brand new wires to all the speakers because I don't trust whatever's in this car. The only thing I'm going to trust is the remote turn on for the radio. And probably if I can find a 12 volt, like a constant 12, I'll use that. But I mean, honestly, it would probably just be better to run a new one anyways. We'll see. We'll investigate. We have a multimeter. You know, we'll prod around and we'll see how it goes.